Fluent and Chill. I'm Anthony K of Sports Fluent. I'm here as always with my main man Jermaine from Chilltown Hoops. Jermaine, how you doing, man?
We're getting close, Tone. We're getting close, man. It's this that time of year where playoff positioning is starting to pan out, and we got a little under a month left, so a little over a month left. So it's getting close, man. It's getting serious.
Not everybody has been eliminated from the playoff picture, and
There
we're
we
going to
go.
talk. We're going to talk about this.
Oh my
So
God.
we're going to make our week 14 picks. We're going to look at what we did in week 13.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about just that. The Detroit Lions are now, with their win,
I knew this was
not
coming.
mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. We're going to talk about it.
Tone, what are we talking about here,
We're going
man?
to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Is Tom Brady
Mhm.
the only choice for MVP? But first, let's kick it off. Let's take a look at the playoff picture.
Mhm.
And I'm going to start in the AFC because things have changed. This is what I love about it. Week to week, things just change. So
Like drastic,
now,
too. Not
like
just
drastic,
change,
like
drastic.
like right now today, when I said to you, the New England Patriots will be representing the AFC in the AFC Championship game and maybe the Super Bowl, you kind of laughed at me.
No, I didn't kind of laugh. No, I didn't kind of laugh, Tone. I thought you were absolutely nuts. Okay.
They now
let's go
sit
detail.
atop the AFC at 9-4. If
Number
the
one.
playoffs were to start today, they'd have the first round, the only team with the first round bye.
Trying to get to the bowl game, you got to come through Foxborough.
Are you surprised? I know that you're surprised that they're there. Are you surprised in the way that they beat Buffalo to take that top spot?
Well, when I think about what they did with Buffalo, I ended up rewinding the clock, Tone, back to 1990, in January of 1991, where Bill Belichick is the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. And Bill Belichick had a game plan, and the game plan was simple. These guys light it up. That's what they do. They light it up, moving the football down the field. Jim Kelly is standing in the pocket, and he looked at Jim Kelly and said, look, if we let this dude sit in the pocket, we're going to get smoked. All right? We're going to get smoked. So I think my front four are better than your front four. All right? We're going to play cover 2. We're going to play cover 3, and I dare you to run the football, which Buffalo actually did. Thurman Thomas, 15 carries, 135 yards. Why they went away from that, I have no idea, because I think they would have won the game. That was a great game plan from Buffalo, but from the Giants. Point that I'm making is if I dare you to do something, I have to be prepared to do it myself, and I got to be prepared for what comes with it. So fast forward the clock to 2021. Bill Belichick realizes that I got a rookie quarterback going into Buffalo. It's snowing. 50-mile-an-hour winds. It's not going to be a great day for throwing the football. We're going up against the number 1 overall defense in the league, ranked 6th in the league in rush defense. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to shove the ball down your throat, and you ain't going to do a damn thing about it. We don't think you can stop us. And that's exactly what they did. And it was incredible to watch. We're talking about a team, Tone, who I believe they ran 36 rushes for over 200 yards between the tackles. Now, last I checked, Tone, and you being a football guy, where is the meat and potatoes of the defense? Between the tackles.
Tackles.
That's where the defense is. So the game plan was, we're going to shove this ball down your throat, and you're not going to do anything about it. 3 passes from Mac Jones, that's it. 3 of them. And I thought that game plan was incredibly bold, but it worked. And I think that that's the difference between Bill Belichick and other coaches. That's the completely different between him and other coaches. And I didn't appreciate the coach from Buffalo saying that it wasn't rocket science that Bill Belichick said to run the football. Actually, it was, because you're not taking
it was. Listen, I'll say this. I think it was and it wasn't. And I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
I thought it was a brilliant game plan because I saw a pregame warm-up kick look like a boomerang.
unbelievable.
So the win was insane.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. You mentioned the 6th ranked rushing defense in the league. To someone who doesn't do what Bill Belichick does, which is dive into every aspect of that,
Mhm.
that seems like it's a good rushing defense. Here's the problem. There's teams like the Jets and the Dolphins and others that the Bills have played who can't rush the ball. Right? The Jets don't rush the ball. So their numbers look, because they've played them twice. So that
Mhm.
number looks better than it is in reality. So Bill Belichick went and dove deeper. Look at the teams that can rush the ball. They all had success against the Bills running between the tackles. And so Belichick, you're right, said, hey, Here's the thing I love about Belichick. Other coaches, and the one on my team, they're more concerned with how you win, right? I'm this type of coach. I want to throw the ball. We talked last week about Kellen Moore saying, hey, Dak has to throw the ball 45, 50 times because I want to be a head coach. And that's what's going to get me there. Bill Belichick doesn't care about that. He doesn't need to at this point. He says, I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if it hurts your fantasy team. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win the game, even if that means only throwing the ball 3 times and playing a mucky game and winning. And that's why I say if winning is all that matters, this was a brilliant game plan. Was it fun to watch? No. Was it entertaining? Was it good for all the? No. But it doesn't have to be because all you care about is winning.
Well, number one, Tone, I'm a big fan of Smash Mouth football. I love it.
Maybe it was entertaining to some, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Smash Mouth football. But the last time I checked, I have yet to see the commissioner get up on the podium and say, "Congratulations, barely Super Bowl champions." As long as we got more points than you do, that's all that matters at the end of the day. And Bill Belichick doesn't care how it gets done. And he looked at what the rest of and to your point, he looked at what the rest of the league did against Buffalo outside of the AFC East, the worst teams.
That's right.
You know what? This 6th-ranked defense, this might be fool's gold. We may be able to run the football against them.
Yeah. Listen, you're not going to like it, but you might get another Bill Belichick 13-3 Super Bowl win. If that's what it takes, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't say, oh, the Patriots won an ugly one, 13-3 against the Rams. No, you say this. No, you say the Patriots are Super Bowl champs and they beat the Rams. That's all you say.
Exactly what you say. Yeah.
So that's New England. I wanted to bring it up because I think I was one of the first to say, hey, watch out for these guys. Then we go down the list. Tennessee is still there. They're the number 2 seed. Do you think they can? I feel like they were dropping, but do you think can they keep it up, or is that a first round loss waiting to happen?
I don't know, Tona. And from what I understand, Derrick Henry may be coming back pretty soon, so they may be able to get him back in the lineup. I don't know how well he's going to do, and to have him away for that long, I don't know how sharp he's going to be. I think that defense has been carrying them the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, they gave the Adrian Peterson experiment a run, and it wasn't great. It was okay. It was solid, but they recognized that it was just a stopgap. And Ryan Tannehill, they know that we can't throw the football with him. We can't throw the football 40 times because we have no shot. Vrabel is a defensive coach, and he knows that our team is going to stand on winning in the trenches. So I think that's big for what they're doing right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs because I'm looking at a team who they could get a bad matchup in the first round. And
let's talk about that. If the playoffs were to end today, I think the matchup isn't that bad because they'd be playing the Bills.
Right. So, and we're talking about and we're talking about a team in Buffalo that, Josh Allen has been erratic lately. Who I'm very disappointed in Josh Allen, by the way, Tone, because I was very high on him before the season started. I was very high on him, and I expected a lot out of Buffalo before the season started. And he's just been he kind of not regressed, but he shows me this, and then he goes the other way, and then he shows me this. I expected him to take that next step to be an elite quarterback, and he just hasn't done that. But
I'm with you. I want to pause you there because I'm with you on that, but also I understand, and when I say it, I know you'll get it too. It's one thing to sneak up on people, like the Bills did last year. It's another when now the expectation is you're going to be the best or one of the best teams in the AFC. The target's on your back. They've now game planned for Josh. So now is the next step, like you say, is now how does he counter them game planning for him?
Right.
How does he switch that up? So we haven't seen that, I think, consistently yet, but that's going to be the next step for him.
Yeah.
The next matchup would be, so maybe we should do it this way. Would be Baltimore, Cincinnati. Just like I'll take the credit for the Patriots, the Bengals. I said they're not making the playoffs, but
I looked at what the Bengals were doing. I looked at that defense. I looked at offensively how good they were and how good they could be. And losing Joe Burrow with 4 or 5 games left in the season because he was, like I said, Tony, he was on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards last year as a rookie. He was on pace to do that. So. And add Jamar Chase into that. Mix. Joe Mixon,
man, he looks good.
He looks really good, man. Joe Mixon's been healthy.
Offense or defense? I'm going to read your mind.
I'm not defense, offense.
The tight end, CJ Uzomah.
Not him.
Oh.
The other wide. I'm looking right at
Tyler Boyd.
Boyd,
and then T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, that's what it's right on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, T, come on, get it out. T. Higgins, absolutely. So that offense has been really good. And that defense has been better than a lot of people give them credit for. Yeah. So when I think about what Cincinnati's done, not to mention, Tone, like you just said, if the playoffs started today, for lack of a better term, they put a foot in Baltimore's ass the last time they saw them. So I'd like to think that they exposed a lot of Baltimore's deficiencies, which is putting a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson, not in the pocket to get him to run. No, making him throw the football under pressure.
Right.
Like not letting him
with a hand up at his arm as he's throwing. Yeah.
Yes. Making him throw the football under pressure. And I think that really rattled him. So to see them for them to have to see Buffalo again, for them to have to see the Bengals again, I think that they would have a really tough time with them. And I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati beat them. So
KC and the Chargers is the last one. KC, all of a sudden, getting a little bit of defense. I think it's Chris Ford. He makes a difference, man. Well, and look, they're not great defensively, but they're good enough, to give that offense enough time. Patrick Mahomes still doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes. That offense is still, but they're winning. Listen, it was blowouts, and everyone was expecting this was just going to be Kansas City's style. That hey, they drop 45 on you and blow you out. Well, no, they're winning close games, which might be good come playoff time because that's what you're going to be doing in the playoffs.
And the same thing happened this weekend when they played against Denver. That 9 points that Denver scored, that was not only empty calories. They had them 22-3 late in the fourth quarter. So they did a really good job with Denver. Like you just said, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been his stellar self. Travis Kelce hasn't been great neither. Travis Kelce is another guy who has been he's been okay this season. And I think a lot of that has to do with not injuries. A lot of that has to do with more game planning. I think that they've done a better job at dealing with Patrick Mahomes. Now, I have to eat some crow as of right now because I'm pretty certain, Tone, you and me had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. Where did I have Kansas City?
I believe you said they will not make the playoffs.
I had them out. I didn't think that they was making the playoffs. They at the top of the AFC. They're at the top of the division. I still think that I still think that Los Angeles could be in the AFC Championship game. I still think that they can do that because, like I told you before, Tone, Justin Herbert 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
he has not lost to him in his career. So I wouldn't be surprised if they beat them again.
Hey, and as long as you're in the playoffs, you have a chance. And let me correct myself. I said Chris Ford. I don't know. I meant Chris Jones. So before everyone goes in the comments. But since you're going to go in the comments and correct me and say it's not Chris Ford, it's Chris Jones, drop us a like and a follow. Yeah. And okay, so I'll just give you 3 teams. You tell me if any of them can unseed those 7 that I mentioned. So the 8, 9, and 10. Pittsburgh, the Colts, and the Las Vegas Raiders.
The only team that I can say has a legit shot of unseating any of those teams is I think it's Indianapolis. I like what Carson Wentz, him being healthy. He looks more in command of that offense. Jonathan Taylor is in the MVP conversation. No question about it. I don't know if I could have said that a couple of weeks ago because of Derrick Henry, but as of right now, Jonathan Taylor is absolutely in the MVP conversation. That defense that Indianapolis has had, I'm a huge fan of Leonard. I'm a big fan of guys who get to the football, and I'm a big fan of guys who get to the quarterback. And Leonard is one of those guys. He just disrupts everything, and he's the leader of that defense. And if I had to pick one team, I'd absolutely have to say it's Indianapolis.
Does Miami? They're at 6 and 7. They're a game back. Does Miami have a shot?
No. Mm-mm.
Not even a little bit. Tua looks good. Waddle looks good. They have Devontae Parker back.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Now, the reason why I'm saying no is because I think about the AFC East, and I think about even though they're playing well right now, right? And I think they've won their last 5 straight. I think they beat Houston, they beat Carolina, they beat some bad teams.
They beat Houston, they beat Baltimore, they beat the Jets, they beat Carolina, and then they beat the Giants.
Right. So
who do they have upcoming? I'll just give you just you might change your mind when I tell you. They have the Jets, the Saints, the Titans, and the Patriots.
They could win 2 of those 4 games. I think so.
But is 8 and 9 enough to get you into the playoffs? No. Okay, fair enough.
No, not 8 and 9 is not enough. Nope. For that reason, right there.
All right.
But Tua's been playing really well, Tone. Tua has been doing work.
Listen, everyone confuses, right? Because I say, listen, Baker Mayfield, I say, is the worst quarterback in the league. And then I tell them when they ask me about Tua, I say, no, don't talk about Tua. And they think it's because I put him in the same category as Baker. I don't. My concern with Tua is health. I've always said if he can stay healthy, he could be a good quarterback, but that's a really big if because he hasn't shown that he can stay healthy, right? All right, so let's jump to the AFC. Arizona just keeps rolling, right? Mm-hmm. Murray's out, Hopkins out, just rolling. Now they're getting those guys back. Is anyone catching them, or you think they got the 1 seed?
I think
now, granted, Green Bay, Tampa Bay are only 1 game behind them, but
I think that Arizona is the class of the NFC West. I said this to you in the past, Tone. I think that you are only as good as your backup quarterback. Can you imagine if Green Bay would have lost Aaron Rodgers for 3 or 4 weeks with Jordan Love back there? What would have happened to them?
Yeah. They would have gone 0-3.
Yeah, as opposed to Arizona, who they have a solid backup quarterback. Colt McCoy isn't great, but he's good enough.
To get you a couple of wins, right? Keep you above water.
Good enough to keep our head above water. They're getting D. Hopkins back, who I think is arguably the best wideout in the game. That defense, like I said, Tone, they get to the quarterback, and they're really good against the run. And this isn't fool's gold in Arizona because the NFC West is serious with the 49ers, with the Rams, with Seattle. That's a serious division. So they're dealing with some tough competition, and they show up every week. And I think Kyler Murray, these last 5 games, if he can give me what he gave me, if he can give me most of what he gave me before he got hurt, I think he's still in the MVP conversation.
I really question the Cliff Kingsbury hiring. And I knew that they brought him in because, it made sense for they were drafting Kyler Murray. It made sense to have a coach who kind of coaches that style. This season, I get it. It's 1 season. They were 8-8 last year. They were losing record the year before. But if you can keep your team winning games when your starting quarterback is out and you see the way they play, they're motivated, they're hungry. That's a great coaching job. And listen, I'll pick on coaches when they do a bad job, Matt Nagy, but I'll also give them praise. Kingsbury, like he's doing this year. Okay, so let's talk about what the matchups are if it ended today. We were laughing about this 5 weeks ago, but here it is. It's a reality. Green Bay would play the 49ers. Your 49ers.
In Green Bay,
who had no shot of making the playoffs. I think you even I picked them to make the playoffs, and you said no. Here they are in the 7th spot.
I think we'd have a good shot. The problem that I'm having is we winning or we losing it with Jimmy G. Our defense is solid. The problem that I see Jimmy G pressing a lot. I see Jimmy G, he just doesn't look comfortable. He looks like he's looking over his shoulder. The throws that he normally can hit, he hasn't been hitting those guys, and it just looks like he's pressing. And I think that he would be the difference in whether we win or we lose that game. He would.
You know what's funny? If the 49ers could take a page out of the Patriots playbook, I think if they treated that game like they did the Bills, where they just run it and run, like I get it, they've got some issues at running back, but and keeping the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, that actually might be the best shot that they have at beating the Packers.
Just so you know, Tone, that's what happened in the NFC Championship game in January 2020. Jimmy Garoppolo only threw the ball 8 times that game, so that would be the recipe for winning.
Yeah,
that would be the recipe for winning.
Now I feel a lot better if it was in San Francisco, which is weird. Aaron Rodgers from the Bay doesn't historically play very well there. The next matchup would be Tampa Bay, Washington. Washington, the team with no name,
and they beat Tampa twice, by the way. I'm sorry, they only beat them once.
Beat them once, but played really well last year in the playoffs against them. Tyler Heineke. He's not afraid of the Bucks.
No, this isn't going to be. This wouldn't be a wash like everybody thinks it would be, even if it is in Tampa. I think that's a pretty bad. I don't like that matchup for Tampa. I just don't.
Everything's about matchups, right? We've talked about this all the time. I still think Tampa finds a way. Tom Brady just typically does that. But You know, I don't know.
I don't know neither.
It'd be closer than you think.
Right. It's not going to be a 30-27 game. I think it'll be something like 22-19, some nonsense like that.
I'm with you. America's team. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Rams. No, I'm just kidding. The Dallas Cowboys would host the Los Angeles Rams. So Los Angeles still has an opportunity to be hosting a Super Bowl, much like Tampa did last year. How do they match up with the Cowboys?
This would be a revenge game for the Cowboys from 3 years ago when they beat the Cowboys in Los Angeles. And I like the matchup with the Rams because, like I just said, Tone, I look at the Rams and they basically went all in. They pushed all of their chips to the front of the table with Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. And they went and got ODB. LBJ, I'm sorry. They went and got OBJ, and they pushed all their chips to the front of the table. I think it would be a great matchup, especially in the secondary with Cooper Kupp and Jalen Ramsey, OBJ and Diggs. I think that would be a great matchup.
I'm not knocking any of the other ones, but that would be the one that I'd probably watch the most, if not that whole game. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that game will come down to the quarterback because we already know who Matt Stafford is, Tone, but we also know who Dak is too.
So the 49ers, who hold the 7th seed, are 6-6. Here are the teams that are same win or one win behind them. The Eagles are 6-7. Minnesota 5-7, but a brutal loss to, we'll talk about the Detroit Lions. Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans all have 5 wins. Heck, even Chicago and Seattle have 4 wins. Technically still in it. Any of those teams you see jumping up and taking that spot?
That
Now keep in mind, I'm not necessarily saying San Francisco's spot because Washington is also 6-6. So it could be one of those two spots.
Right. Now I think that Washington, they hold their fate in their own hands because they have their last 5 games all division games, Tone. They don't have to play anybody outside the division. So they can win themselves into the playoffs or lose, and it'll be on because it's all division games.
Yeah, Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys again, Eagles again, Giants.
That's right. So their last 5 games are division games. So they hope their destiny is in their own hands. Absolutely. So when I think about Washington, and I think about any of those teams in the NFC that you just named, for some reason I'm thinking about Atlanta, and for some reason, but then I think about the NFC South, and I think about how Tampa is just. They rule that roost. No question about it, they do. And Matt Ryan has just been so up and down that I can't really put my finger on him. Carolina is out. I think they're out. I think New Orleans is out. Minnesota, they've already shown me with the 49ers, and then we're going to get into that in a little bit, what they did against Pittsburgh. So I can't really I think these 7 teams right now that we have, I think that they're the ones that's going to be battling it out to get into the playoffs.
I would tend to agree with you. I will just mention, because I am paid by the Chicago Bears in my mind to mention this. At 4 wins, their next 5 games, okay, they got Green Bay on Sunday night. Okay, we already know that Justin Fields will be starting. So I think most people would have that as a Packers win. But after that, the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Giants, and then the Vikings again. So those are actually 4 very winnable games, I got to mention. So I'm not going to count out my Bears, but I wanted to bring up a team that is 1-10-1.
Oh, boy.
CBCSports.com, go check it out, wrote a beautiful piece. Now, the Detroit Lions would have to win out against the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Seahawks, and the Packers. Okay. But should they win out, they actually break it down. And look, I get it. It's a little tongue in cheek. Actually, it's a lot tongue in cheek, but it's a good read because if they win out, this is how crazy football is.
Listen to this, folks.
If they win out and about 8 or 9 other scenarios occur,
not 1 or 2, folks.
No.
Make sure we clear on this.
8 or 9. Hold on. 8 or 9 specific scenarios each week.
Not in one day.
Not in one day. Each week, 8 or 9 certain teams have to win and lose. I'm not going to break it down. I want you to go to CBSSports.com and look at it. But if 8 or 9 of these scenarios happen each week and they win out, they make the play.
This team has to beat this team. This team has to tie with this team.
That's exactly what it looks. But just think about it. Listen, it's for fun. However, could you imagine? But if they lost that game, they're out. What a big win against the Vikings that you're not mathematically eliminated. And let me say this. I know that's the joke, but I will say this. You know, I don't like Dan Campbell as a head coach.
You do not.
However, I gotta say, they have been in prior to the win against Minnesota. 7 of their 10 losses were by one possession. So 1 touchdown, 1 field goal, and they could have. So they're actually playing really hard. And for a team was sitting at 0-10-1, to still come out and play hard and win. Now, listen, something has to be said about Kirk Cousins lining up behind the guard, and some of the other things that just mentally.
One more over.
Yeah, one more. It was actually funny. I was in my car at that time, and I was listening to the game. Why I was listening to that game, I'm pretty sure I was listening to that game because I thought they might have had a chance to win. I wanted to hear it. And so I was listening to the Detroit, it was the Detroit radio broadcast. It's on satellite, whatever channel it was. And he's screaming, "Call a timeout, you fool, you're behind the guard." And I'm just like, whoa, like Detroit radio, right? Minnesota radio. And I was just like, I was like, I need to get home. So I got home in time to watch.
What's going on in this game? Like, what is going on?
And then I saw the replay. I was like, oh, how do you line up on the wrong?
The first thing I think about with Detroit, like you just said, the seven of their 10 losses are one possession games. 4 of those 7 losses, Tone, was the last possession of the game, where the other team had the ball and kicked basically a walk-off. 4 losses where that's how they lost. And it's not that they haven't been in games. It's not that they haven't competed. I don't think that there's a team in the league with not just the losing record. They might be the worst team in the game. When I think about it, they might be the worst team in the game. They competed better than anybody that has a losing record. Because had they gotten smoked this season, Tone? Because my 49ers early.
There was 2 games. Well, the 49ers blew them out, but then they came back.
Right. They got back in the game.
And then there was a couple of games where they did, like, if I go back and look at their
right.
I remember there was 2 of the 3 that weren't one possession games.
Right.
Were pretty big. Like they had let's see. So your 49ers that first week, it was 41-33, but again, that was an early blowout that they, fought back. The Packers then beat them 35-17, right? And
they were in that game. They were tied at halftime, Tone, just so you know.
And then, I did count, and then the Bengals 34-11. Other than that, they're within
every game they were in. And I know that sounds ridiculous.
And then there was a 44-6. There was a 44-6.
Oh, that's right.
The Eagles, The
Eagles did blow them out.
But still, like I said, there's still 7 games that were, kind of that one possession, or 6 or 7 games that were one possession.
I do remember that. So with that being said, I look at this team, and as bad as they are, they're a new team. It's Detroit, and I don't know exactly what it is they're doing in terms of their run game. Jared Goff is actually a really good quarterback. He is a good quarterback. I just don't think that.
I'd take away the word really. I say he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a really good quarterback.
I think he's a good quarterback, Tone. And I look at what he did I look at what he did with the Rams, and he hasn't made any Pro Bowls and he hasn't done anything like that. But the talent that he had in Los Angeles, for them he did get them to the Super Bowl, and it wasn't just because of their defense. I mean, they had a really good offense with him throwing the football.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
When I think about him in Detroit, I just think that his deficiencies have gotten exposed because they're thin on the edges.
Everywhere, yeah.
They thin at the running back. So I think he's a lot better quarterback than he gets credit for.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. I think he's better than he gets credit for. Okay. So a minute ago, you had mentioned if Kyler Murray gets back to what he was doing at the beginning of the season, he might be in the MVP conversation. Jonathan Taylor, it's funny. No one gained more as an individual player than Jonathan Taylor when Derrick Henry got hurt. because we weren't even, he was doing this all season, but we didn't talk about Jonathan Taylor at all. It was all about Derrick Henry, which, and deservedly so, he was having an insane year. Jonathan Taylor's now on pace to rush for 2,000 yards. And now all of a sudden, oh, yeah, he's the best running back in the game. Yeah, now that Derrick Henry is out. Right. So you mentioned him as an MVP candidate. But if things continue as is there anybody that's going to beat Tom Brady for that?
It's going to be difficult to beat Tom Brady, considering what he's been doing and considering Tampa's still in first place in that division, and they're at the top of the NFC. So I think that it's going to be difficult. But when I look at Jonathan Taylor, the reason why we weren't talking about him is because him being in the same division with Derrick Henry also toned the issue that I had. The issue that a lot of people aren't talking about is we really shouldn't be surprised at what Jonathan Taylor is doing. And well, why do you say that? Because he was a rookie last season. I think he leads the league. He leads the league in yards. He leads the league in yards. He leads the league in yards from scrimmage, and I think he leads the league in touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. Well, with that being said, when he was in the Big Ten, when he played in the Big Ten, he led the Big Ten in yards. He led the Big Ten in yards from scrimmage, and he led the Big Ten in touchdowns. So I really shouldn't be surprised at what he's doing right now. But it doesn't help that you got a 2,000-yard rusher in your division.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That doesn't help. So that's a lot of the reason why we're not talking about him. But Tone, I will tell you this: we have to seriously consider him as the league MVP. We have to.
When was the last league MVP running back?
Adrian Peterson in 12.
Been a long time.
Yeah, and before him, it was Thurman Thomas in 90. I'm sorry,
I thought it was Sean. I thought it was Sean Alexander.
Nope,
the Seattle running back.
That was in 2005.
Okay. So and then Thurman Thomas before him, right? So it doesn't happen. So my point is, it happens like once a decade. Like it's not very often. So it's gonna be. And here's the thing: I know that we shouldn't say this, but the people that are going to be selecting, right, making this decision, they're going to say Tom Brady, and they're going to have this caveat at his age, what he's doing at his age. That shouldn't be in the conversation. Right, I get it. People argue with me that, and I agree. It shouldn't be at his age. Look, if you're playing in the NFL, you're based on what you're doing. I don't care if you're doing it at 20 or if you're doing it at 80, right? But that's what they're going to say. They're going to say, look what he's doing at his age. How do you not pick him? So that's why I think it's be tough to beat him. All right. So now let's go to our MVP. So if you had to pick today, who are you picking as MVP? Let me actually finish with that.
I think it's Brady. I do. I think it's Brady.
So from our MVP pick, I'm picking Brady as well. And now let's go to our MVP picks. So last week 13, there was 4 games that we did not get correct. The Chargers, we both picked Cincinnati. I'm surprised you actually picked the Chargers in that one. Were you surprised with I know that it was a close game, it was a pick'em game anyways. Were you surprised that the Chargers beat Cincinnati?
Because they're getting back on track, Tone. I think that, after that bye week, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Herbert, they look like they're getting their rhythm back. They look like they're getting it back together. I think they've won 2 of their last 3 games, and that defense is starting to stand up. And I thought that this was a game that they could get from Cincinnati because Cincinnati wasn't very good against the pass. So I saw what Los Angeles was bringing, and I thought that they had a really good shot at beating them.
I keep forgetting that the Bengals are a very young team, that Joe Burrow's only in his 2nd season. Last year didn't play a full season, and that they're going to be really inconsistent. So listen, I picked them. You convinced me on the Bengals, but I'm not surprised. And with the Chargers too, both second-year quarterbacks, they're going to have inconsistencies and ups and downs. So that's why that was a pickup game, but that just interesting. We both picked the Bengals. Detroit against Minnesota. We talked about that one. So I think everybody got that one wrong, unless you're picking Detroit every week. Right. And then the Raiders losing to Washington. Now, I think winners of 4 or 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
So Washington's like a legit kind of team. Were you surprised after the way that they lost to Washington after the way they looked the week before?
Not really, because when I think about what Washington has done, that's how they've been winning their games. They've been winning their games ugly. They've been winning their games in the trenches. Washington is not going to score 37, 40 points, 30 points. It's going to be 2001 Baltimore. It's going to be 2003 Tampa, where we're going to have 16 to 13 games, 20 to 18 games. That's how they've been winning. And I thought that they did a really good job with their pass rush against Derek Carr. And I think that was the difference, getting pressure on him, keeping him on the run. And he just didn't look good. And I think that was primarily due to Washington's pass rush.
The last one that we got wrong, and I don't want to rub salt in the wound here, but how did the 49ers lose to Seattle?
Yeah, man. Well, they're in terms of our game plan, which was running the football, all of that stuff goes out the window, Tone, because I just want to let you know that before 2019, that was the last time my 49ers beat Seattle in like, I think 6 or 7 seasons. And Russell Wilson, I think he's 14-2 against the 49ers. And it's 14-4 against the 49ers in his career. He owns us. I don't know what the story is, but he owns us. We cannot beat this guy. So whenever I see, even if they're 1-9, whenever I see the 49ers playing in Seattle and Russell Wilson is the quarterback, I don't care if he's 40 years old, I'm having a difficult time picking against him, against my 49ers. I don't know why.
All right. Well, let's see if we get that 4. Let's see if we get that number down this week.
Yeah.
Let's start it off with the Thursday nighter. We got the Steelers and the Vikings. Do the Vikings come out, angry after losing to the Lions, or do the Steelers just go into Minnesota and put a hurt on them?
I think this is really good for Minnesota because they got a short week.
Is Thursday prime time? Sorry to cut you out. Is Thursday considered prime time? Because if Thursday's prime time, I think we know what Kirk Cousins we're going to get, right?
We do know who Kirk Cousins is when the lights get brighter. But I think this is a good thing for Minnesota because it's a short week. They're coming off a bad loss. They got an opportunity to redeem themselves early. They don't have to sit on this for as long as they have for the whole week. Pittsburgh is banged up. Ben Roethlisberger, they're doing everything that they can to keep Ben Roethlisberger upright. I think that Minnesota got a really good shot at winning this game. I do.
I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Vikings, listen, I know who Kirk Cousins is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd rather it be a Sunday game in the, 1 p.m. when no one's watching. I think everybody watching them coming back from that loss to Detroit, I think the Steelers find a way. That's just stick to that.
You just don't believe in Cousins.
I don't think Cousins does enough. I think Cook might still be out, and not that I don't like Madison. I think he's maybe the best backup in the league, or maybe next to Tony Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not concerned with that. I think it's the Kirk Cousins thing that gets it, And I Tomlin's defense is going to know what he plays like in prime time, and they're going to put some pressure on him. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 p.m. games, we've got Ravens and Browns.
I'm going to take Baltimore in this game. I think that they bounced back from last week, and they've always fared really well against Cleveland. I think that Cleveland's got one of the best pass rushes in the league, but Baltimore seems to run on them really well, and I don't know what it is. Not to mention, there's no reason for me to even bring this up because I already know how you feel about this. Baker Mayfield is going to be Baker Mayfield. So
Baker Butter's going to be butter. Yeah. And so I'm picking Baltimore too.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're seeing the decline of the Browns, and you're going to see an off season where they're going to have to make some tough decisions. They haven't extended Baker Mayfield for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jags and the Titans, I think we're going to agree on this one too.
The division game, I think that the Titans keep rolling. I think that the Jags have been competitive as of late. But I think that Tennessee handles them. I think that Mike Vrabel's been doing a really good job with his defense, and that's what they've been winning on mostly since Derrick Henry has gone down. So yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I think they understand. I don't even know if this is true. You mentioned it earlier, but I feel like they put out the story that Derrick Henry might be back in time for the playoffs to give them kind of that motivation. Be like, guys, we just got to win this game. And as long as we stay in the playoffs, we're going to have Derrick Henry back, and then we're going to be unstoppable. And they're buying into that. I don't know that. Listen, if it's not true, I think it's brilliant coaching. If they put that story out there, Derrick Henry's going to be out for 2 years. No, he might be back for the playoffs.
Right.
The Raiders and the Chiefs. A lot of divisional games, which I like about the end of the season. The way they set up the schedule.
And I like what Kansas City is doing right now defensively. I like what they're doing, and I think that they handle the Raiders. Mahomes has not been his super sharp self, and Kelsey has not been his super sharp self neither. But that defense has been really good for them over the last couple of weeks, and I think that's what keeps them rolling.
I'm with you on the Chiefs. You know, I'm high on the Chiefs. And I figured they were going to go on a run, and I think that run continues late into the season. This would have been an 100% easy pick for me. It's not as easy as you think right now. The Saints and the Jets.
Ugh. The Saints loses 5 in a row. Does that spiral continue with them? And the Jets have been. I'm picking the Saints. I think that spiral stops this week. I think that they handle the Jets. I'm going to pick the Saints in this game. I think that they handle the Jets and they get back on track.
Tyson Hill is the quarterback. He's a little banged up. I think the spiral continues. I'm going Jets.
Okay.
I'm going Jets.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Man, the number 1 team in the division against the hottest team in the division, Dallas Cowboys, Washington football team close to Washington.
I know I just said that's the way Washington has been winning games in the trenches. I think Dallas smokes them this weekend.
Smokes them.
I think they smoked them this weekend. I don't think that they beat Washington. I think they smoked them, Tone. That pass defense that the Redskins has, I think the Cowboys. I think they picked them apart.
I'm going with the Washington football team.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think Tyler Heineke and those guys get another mucky win against the Cowboys, who are going to do what they do, which is throw the ball way too much, and it's going to cost them in the end when they should be running the ball.
All right.
Falcons. It's like every game's a divisional game. Falcons and Panthers.
I think Atlanta
Falcons have started to look like much better.
Yes, they have. And I already told you, Tone, that Kyle Pitts was my rookie of the year, but it's not going to happen. But they've actually been looking better over the last couple of weeks, and I think that they handle Carolina. I don't think that bringing Cam back was fool's gold because, they needed that, but I don't think that he's. You don't think he's back like he told everybody? No, I don't. No, I don't think he's. I don't think he's the answer for what they've been doing.
I don't think that guy exists anymore. Is the problem for him to come back? So I'm with you. I'm surprised I'm doing this because I was thinking Carolina, but no, I think I'm Atlanta. I think Atlanta takes this one as well. And the last one, the Seahawks coming off a big win against the Niners, going to Houston. Tyrod Taylor is out again. Take on the Houston Texans.
I think they beat the Houston Texans. I think they go in there and they handle them. I think that Russell Wilson. I said this before. Seattle's a playoff team. If Russell Wilson don't get hurt and he doesn't miss those 4 weeks, they're right in the middle of this thing. So I think they're a playoff team. And if he doesn't get hurt, but I think they're right back. I think they get back on track this week after they beat the Niners, and then they keep rolling this week against Houston.
Yeah, someone told me you're only as good as your backup quarterback. And when your backup quarterback is Geno Smith, it's tough. It's tough. All right, 4:00 games. We got the hot, on fire Detroit Lions.
Oh, boy.
Going into Denver against the Broncos.
I tell you what, Tone, I'm going with Detroit. I think they keep rolling. I saw what Denver did against Kansas City. I'm going with Detroit. I think they keep rolling. I think they go in Denver and they beat them.
Wow, that is not. I was all upset because I was like, "Oh, we're gonna pick the same team here."
No, we're not.
I'm going with your orange crush. I'm going with the Denver Broncos, and they're gonna smoke Detroit.
Okay,
they're gonna remind Detroit that they're a 1-10-1 team and knock them officially out of the playoffs. After we talked about how they mathematically are not eliminated, it's happening this week.
Back to reality, guys.
Yeah. The New York Football Giants going to SoFi against the Chargers. And you mentioned Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen starting to get in sync. Keenan Allen's out, I believe, because of COVID protocols. So he won't have Keenan Allen, so he's going to have to rely heavily on Mike Williams, maybe a little Jared Cook, hopefully, because I've had to stream him That's my fantasy tight end. Maybe they start to use Austin Eckler like they should have been doing all the time, anyways.
The whole time.
Do you think the Giants go in there and
Let me
sneak
ask
out a
you this,
win?
Tone. Is Danny Dimes playing this weekend? That's the $1 million question because he didn't play last weekend.
We don't know.
Right. So if no Danny Dimes, even if Danny Dimes plays, I think that they lose. I'll be surprised. I'm looking at the Giants, and they might not win a game. They might not win another game for the rest of the season. They might not.
I'll have to look at their schedule, but you might be right.
They might not win another game.
But I'm with you on the Chargers on this one, even without Keenan Allen. This is the maybe the game of the week. Bills traveling to Tampa, taking the Bucks.
I think that the Bucks handle them, yo. I like Tampa's pass rush, and like I said, Josh Allen, he's been really inconsistent this year. He's been up and down, and I think that they force him into a lot of mistakes and I think they expose him too for what he's been doing lately, and I think they expose that, and I think Tampa handles them. I think Tom Brady outplays him, no doubt.
The one thing that I noticed with the Bills against the Patriots was that although I like Zach Moss and Singletary, they don't have a guy that could run it up in between the tackles. And I think if they had that kind of power back that could run up between the tackles, they probably win that game against the Patriots. And the good news is that the Bucks stop the run. So you're not going to beat them running the ball. You're going to have to throw the ball. The bad news is I think the Bills have an opportunity to throw the ball if Josh Allen can get hot, because he has Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, and Dawson Knox. So he has some targets to throw to. That's the only way you're beating the Bucks. You're not going to run against them, which is good because the Bills don't run anyways, or they're not a very good running team anyways. So that being said, you're taking the Bucks?
I'm going to take Tampa, yes.
I'm going to take the Bills in an upset. I think Josh Allen throws the ball deep, and I think Stephon Diggs has a huge game. And they surprise the Bucks, and it makes things even more interesting, because I think if the Bucks win, it's too predictable. Then I'm going to go with make things mucky. You've been having a lot of teams you like playing each other the last couple of weeks. It's probably difficult. So you got now your 49ers after a tough division loss to the Seahawks, traveling up to Cincinnati, who had a tough loss against the Chargers. So 49ers and Bengals.
I think that we get back on track this week. My Niners have always been good against Cincinnati. Always. Historically, we've been good against them.
Don't you bring up that Super Bowl either.
I'm just saying, Tone. I know it's been over 40 years, but we've historically been good against Cincinnati. And I think that we go up there and I think we handle them this week. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I hate to say it. But here's the thing: this might be a good omen for Bengals fans, because every time I bet against them, they win. So, but I think the 49ers take this one as well. It is what we call in Chicago, it's Packer Week. It's where all our kids wear our Bears. You'll see I'm wearing it today. I wear a Bears something every day this week. We all give the finger to anyone with cheese on their head. And we take it very personal, Packer Week. So it's Packer Week. Justin Fields is starting. I'm hoping Matt Nagy just lets him loose. Just all over the yard. So I am going to obviously go with my Bears going into Lambeau, upsetting the Packers, and driving everybody crazy and wondering why weren't they doing this all season. That's what you're going to see.
There's a natural hatred during Packer Week.
Yeah,
this is not something this is an actual thing. This is
100 years in the making. Yeah,
absolutely. There's a natural hatred, but ultimately, in the words of Aaron Rodgers, I own you. So I think that continues.
We're about to break out of our lease, my friend.
Because
it's only short term. You can only play so many years, and we are cutting that off. All right, Monday night, and it's an 8:00 Sunday night game. It's gonna be cold, probably snowing, but I think I think you're gonna see a lot of David Montgomery in this game. Monday night, at the beginning of the season, we probably would have favored the Rams, but now you got Rams and Cards, and it's the Cards that look better. Do they keep it rolling, or do the Rams make a divisional statement on Monday night?
I think that Arizona keeps this rolling, especially the way I saw them in the beginning of the season handle the Rams, and they have a really difficult time in slowing down Kyler Murray. on his run. They have a really difficult time slowing that down. And because they have a difficult time slowing that down, I think that's going to be the difference in the game. And I think Arizona handles Los Angeles.
I'm 100% with you. I think the Cardinals are. Listen, we're worried about the Cardinals, right? When Kyler Murray was out, we were like, oh, can they keep it up? They did. Oh, they haven't been in this situation before. Can they keep winning? Can they beat good teams? This is where they stamp themselves as legit Super Bowl contenders. And I think they I don't think it's a blowout, but I think they put their mark on this game and kind of say, hey, we're legit and a team to be reckoned with. So I'm with you as well. I'm going with the Cards.
Yep.
And that's it. So we didn't pick that many. We didn't pick that many different, but enough to keep it interesting.
Yep.
The ones we're both on are the Ravens, the Titans, the Chiefs, the Falcons, the Seahawks. Oh, that's it. Oh, and the Cardinals. So there's some. Oh, that's good. So we'll have some good to talk about next week. So this is Fluent and Chill, the NFL edition. Don't forget to check out Wednesdays, the NBA edition. And because it's coming, the week goes by quick. Monday, 8 p.m. live on TikTok. You know what? So I'm going to ask everybody to do me a favor. So in the comments down below, well, first follow, like, share, do all that stuff. Hit the reminder button so you don't miss anything. But I want to ask a question. I have an opportunity, and you don't know this. I haven't said this to you yet either. To go when we go live, to not only go live on TikTok, to go live on some other ones at the same time. I think it's like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all at the same time. Let us know. Or do you want us to keep it exclusive? Exclusive to TikTok. I like keeping it exclusive, but I'll put it out there and ask the people. So that's it for this week. I'm Anthony K of Sports Fluent. He's Jermaine of Chilltown Hoops.
Take it light. We'll take it.